Hello YouTube, today I'd like to talk to you guys about the Nintendo Switch. I picked one up on day one, and I've been anal about putting it in the dock and taking it out, and I started noticing scratches ever so lightly on the, mainly on the left side, and I'm not sure why, but I have two very light scratches. I'll try to show you on the screen, and then also on the back side. So it prompted me to take this apart and actually see if I couldn't come up with a better engineered solution to make these things remove from the dock properly and not have to worry about anything scratching. So this is what I came up with. You can see here I basically I removed this front panel, and then also the back plate there is what is actually causing the switches to scratch. So you'll notice on the back side of the dock, there's two rails there, and then there's corresponding ones on the front here as well. And these areas here are where the switch is getting scratched at. So what I did here was just mock up two examples of ways that we could modify these docks to prevent scratches on the switch. I took it a step further for you do-it-yourself guys out there. I'll try to explain what I did in as much detail. Unfortunately, I already have the new front on there, and I don't want to deconstruct it just to show you. But I think I can do a pretty good job of explaining. Plus, I know that there is some guides out there on how to disassemble these things. It really is quite simple. Just a few screws. I think there's 7 Phillips screws here that actually hold this plate onto the base. Now, when this gets removed, you'll see this is all open down here on the bottom, and you'll see like a ribbon cable, and then it connects into the the dock connector and all of that. So what you can see there is it's a very quick and very cheesy way to actually modify this. What I did was I took some Gorilla duct tape right here. I took some Gorilla duct tape. I think you can buy this at like Lowe's or Home Depot. I so happen to get this from my work, but it's very thick. It's very thick, and it feels like vinyl almost. It's that heavy duty, so it's not your standard run-of-the-mill duct tape. So basically what I did was once I got this front cover off, the front part of the switch dock, I then started to get a piece of duct tape a little bit longer, maybe a ½ inch longer on each side, and I wrapped it down inside here on the lip almost the whole way down. So if the switch is touching anything, it's actually touching the soft vinyl feel of the duct tape and not the hard plastic of the dock. So once I got that done, I was even able to get the LED connector, just cut a small hole into the duct tape there, and even have that protruding so it lights up as well. And you can see I just wrapped it down on the bottom, kind of cutouts for the feet to sit there, and it's very primitive. I will say this is more of like a R&D step. If this seems to work out pretty well, what I'd like to do is possibly replace these with felt, something a little more permanent, and then maybe have a printed plastic cover, a bezel that can basically cover this here but still expose the LED. Not that the LED is a big deal, but it does let you know that it's docked and it's charging when that's lit up. So I mean, at first glance though, when you're looking at it, it looks legit. You know, it's only when you get up to it that you can actually tell that it's actually duct tape. So, if you don't want to go this route, you can, without having to take anything apart, just put a piece of tape on these rails here, and only from like the top here down to the bottom. Once we get into the dock and we get down in here, there's actually rubber in there. You can feel there's an actual rubber pad in there that is actually touching the face of the switch. That's why some people are reporting that they have smudging on their screen, and that's why, because it's touching the oil from your skin is just rubbing when it hits the rubber pad, and then that's it. And then there's also foam down here in the bottom too that it's actually sitting on. So once I got it to this step, that's pretty complete, and I actually like this better, and I'm gonna show you why in 1 second. For me, I have this sitting up underneath my my monitor here, so you know, I don't want to, before I had to leave this whole setup sitting way further out here so that I could actually slide the switch, you know, down into the dock. This way, all I have to do is just work it in there, and that's it. It's not touching anything. It's not, you know, the screen isn't touching any part of the plastic. And it's quite sturdy in there. I must say, like, it's got a little bit of wobble here. Not bad. I'm okay with that. I remember some of the older original iPhones, they would come with a dock, and they kind of, you know, flapped around in there. And basically, the whole weight of the phone was basically on that dock connector, and they were fine. So I'll be the only one using this setup, you know. I'm okay with the way it is, and I think that I'm going to try and see if I can't have a bezel made out of actual ABS or plastic of some sort to finish this off. But I wanted to show you guys, interestingly enough, why these things are doing what they're doing. Let me just reposition my camera here, and I can show you. So once you get the bezel off here, you can actually slide this whole piece comes off of the face, okay? So the face isn't the problem. Well, it's part of the problem. When the face is mounted on there, it actually starts to bend in, so it's tighter at the top and looser at the bottom, at least in my case. So I didn't like that. I wish that it was more straight up and down, so that the dock wasn't being, you know, so tight at the top, and when you slide it down in, it's really hitting the switch the whole way down in. And I think that's probably where we're having problems at. But I think what Nintendo's going to have to do is redesign this piece. They're going to need to get rid of these bump outs here and put rubber or foam or felt or something in its place. But I think it's that easy for them just to redesign this one piece of plastic that probably cost them $1 or 50 cents to actually, you know, have molded. So but I think that's what it's going to come down to. Now for me, it's very, very hard to see, but you can see like two very, very light scratches right there. But also in the back here too, I'm starting to get a, yeah, I can see them. See the scratches there? They're right in here. You see those? Ever so slight, but that's as a result of me putting the switch in and out of the dock, and it's mainly on this left side for some reason, and it's both in the front and in the back. For whatever reason, it's scratching there, and I was already pre-aware of the issue of them scratching, so I've been very vigilant in putting mine in, trying to, like, almost like it's a puzzle where it's not touching the sides, like I'm playing frickin', you know, Doctor or something like that. If you guys remember that board game from the 80s where you have to try to pull out the tweezers and get the bone out of there without touching the sides. Yeah, that's what it's like putting the dang switch in the dock. So personally, I think that's ridiculous. I think I've come up with a better solution without having to modify, you know, or make like a new dock. I've seen some stuff where guys pulled out the circuit board and the USB-C connector and, you know, printed some plastic something or other without having to do a whole bunch of that, you know, from far away. That actually doesn't look bad to me. Like, again, I know it's you know, quote, ghetto, but it's for Christ's sake, it's a dock. I'm not going to be showing that off. I'm not taking it out of the house, nothing like that. Now, I would never do something with like duct tape on something like this, but there's an old saying, you know, that if you can't duck it, buck it. You know, that's what we used to say in the heating and air conditioning trade. We use duct tape a lot, so. But I think that's what it comes down to, guys. I think this piece is the problem with the corresponding back here. I don't know if it's easy, you know, as simple as maybe realigning this out a little bit and putting felt here and then just redesigning this, or maybe they'll just get some very thin felt to put on both sides of it. I'm not sure, but something has to be done. I called Nintendo today, and the person that I spoke to said they've been getting a lot of reports of people scratching their switches, and I explained that, listen, I'm an older person. I'm not, you know, a 15-year-old kid that's careless. You know, very careful about how I'm putting it in there because I don't want it to scratch. And you can't find a freaking screen protector to save your life anywhere, so, you know, I need to be very careful with it. And I'm still having scratches. So they said that there's something that they're looking into. And I know I was watching the No on YouTube the other day, and they were saying that the Reggie basically denied that they're having any problems or that they've, you know, seen any issues with this, when I heard directly from one of the, you know, call center people that they've been fielding a lot of calls about the switches being scratched due to the dock. So I think that's definitely something that they're looking into, and they'll probably update it, and I kind of suspect that's why they've actually removed the docks from their website. You know, I don't think it's a matter of they're out of supply. I don't think they want to put any more damaged docks in there in case there's a class action lawsuit or something like that, because basically that's pure negligence. That's just a really shitty job by Nintendo trying to push out a product that's not completely tested or finished, in my opinion. Now, I will say, I absolutely love the console. I hate the battery life, but I like the console. I love the versatility of it, and absolutely love Zelda Breath of the Wild. A fantastic game. I wouldn't say it's the best game of all time, but it's definitely a great game. And I'm saying that only because I recently, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I recently just finished playing Witcher 3. I mean, I beat the whole story just a few weeks ago and haven't even gotten through the DLC yet. I just played Horizon Zero Dawn. Fantastic game. And then I go to Breath of the Wild. And to be quite honest, when I first started playing it, I was very frustrated with the crazy, you know, weapons. You kill one guardian and you're going through like 3 different swords, and you know, that was a big departure from what Zelda's used to be, from what I remember. And I pretty much have played everyone, so I was a little disappointed, but once I got used to it, it grew on me. Now I've come to accept the fact that, yeah, I'm not gonna have a sword for more than like 2 minutes before it breaks. So you get a bunch of swords anyway, so it's not a huge deal. But anyway, that's my rambling, my rant. So yeah, that's it, guys. Let me just show you what we have to do to get this thing apart. So what I'm gonna do now is, let me move this out of the way. And what I had to do was, because I have no reason to take any Nintendo consoles apart up until now, I honestly didn't have the little tri-point, you know, whatever you want to call that, tri-Phillips. I don't know what that is, a security connector. So what I used, and it's funny because this is what I had to use back in the day when we would, you know, be raging on our NES systems and, you know, slam the controllers and break them, which, by the way, those things were built like a tank. But we'd have to take them apart and, you know, replace parts and stuff because we would rage so bad that we'd break the controllers. But really all I did was just get a sharp knife, and I was able to, you know, put this in there and screw those out without damaging the screw or anything like that. And you can see I was able to do that. So what you have to do is take these 4 screws out, and you take this one out and this one. Now, these 2 you can leave in. You don't need to take those out for the front to come off. Actually, no, I apologize. You have to take all these screws out. This back plate will pull out of there, which will expose the circuit board here. And then there's mini Phillips screws, which I have yet to put back in because I didn't put the front cover back on. But basically, there's 7 of them, I think, and they just go along the bottom here. You'll see them once this plate comes off. You'll see them in there. You unscrew all the Phillips screws, and then this front plate will literally this basically just sits on there like that, and you gotta lift it up like that. You like push it into it and then up, and then it pulls right off, which then exposes this. And that's when you need to you know, for me, I didn't want that showing, so this was the next best thing that I could come up with that I actually had handy in the house. I didn't have to make a trip to the store or anything like that. So again, that's why I ended up doing this. This is just a test run to see if the thing will actually work, if I have any problems with it. But so far, the LED, you know, is still working. The dock, it's charging, it's doing what it's supposed to do. This literally only was on there just to make sure that the console wasn't, you know, flapping around when it's in there too much. And, you know, you can see there's still a decent amount of lip here that actually will support the console. So when it's sitting in there, you know, you can see, well, hold on, let me get these off of here so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. You can see that, you know, you have a little bit of wobble there, but it's not terrible, you know. Even with this on there, you still have some wobble, you know, like you're still moving it back and forth, but, you know, obviously it has a little more wobble with that plate not being on there. But in the long run, I honestly think you'll be better off not having it on there. And not to mention, it's easier to get the thing in and out of the dock when it's, you know, in that position. So yeah, guys, that's it. You know, like, you don't have to support the dock. It's actually easier to dock and easier to get out of the dock. I so far don't see a downside to it. So I wanted to share that with you guys. If you have any questions, put them down below. And sorry about my rant on the whole Zelda. Again, I think it's a fantastic game. Definitely a 9 in my book. I just don't think it's the best game ever. So, alright guys, thank you. Thanks for watching. If you could, leave a like. And I'll see you in the next video.